So today we're starting off with a team that had been the talk of the sports world for their disappointing season so far, and that would be the Kansas City Chiefs. But they came out Sunday night and dominated the Las Vegas Raiders 41 to 14.
Yeah, so I called the Raiders here in the upset, and I took a fat L on that one. And let's look at the stats for that. So Patrick Mahomes comes out, throws 50 passes, completes 35 of them, gets himself 460 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He had himself a day for sure. Travis Kelce pulled in 116 yards, no touchdown. Darrell Williams got 101 yards and a touchdown though. Tyreek Hill grabbed 2 touchdowns and 83 yards. Byron Pringle got a touchdown with 43 yards. And Noah Gray rounds out the touchdown list with 1 yard, 1 touchdown. Did what he had to do. A lot of people eating for the Chiefs offense there. Tyrann Mathieu recovered a Deshaun Jackson fumble, which we will talk about more, I'm sure, in a few minutes here, because it was something. Tyreek Hill recovers his own fumble, and Mike Hughes lost a fumble. Daniel Sorensen picked off Derek Carr, and just a little fun note: punter Tommy Townsend completed a fake 16-yard pass to keep the chains moving for the Chiefs, and I'm pretty sure they were already up pretty good then, so they were just bullying the Raiders at that point. For the Raiders, Derek Carr goes 25 for 35, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Doesn't look too terrible, but obviously they got destroyed. Carr led in rushing, and this is probably the problem here. He led in rushing with 18 yards. Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake both only got 16 yards separately, like 16 each. So that is terrible. The rushing game was not alive for the Raiders on prime time. Brian Edwards got himself 88 yards and a touchdown. Hunter Renfrow got 46 yards and grabbed the other touchdown. Deshaun Jackson, as we said, had a just inconceivable fumble. Like the play makes no sense. And Foster Moreau is the one who recovered that Mike Hughes fumble. Before I pass it to my man here, what happened is Deshaun Jackson catches the ball. He's in front of two defenders and he's facing the end zone. There's no one in front of him. He can just, hit the Jets like we know he can and hit the end zone. But he turns towards the defenders, gets hooked up by Tyrann Mathieu, fumbles the ball like he was passing it to them, and then he gets put in a spin cycle by Tyrann, and it's just over. That's over. That's a slap on the nose for a Raiders team that was dying against the Chiefs on prime time.
Yeah, something like that can only happen to Deshaun Jackson, man. I mean, way back, I don't want to say way back in the day, but just over 10 years ago now, Monday night game against the Cowboys, he just drops the ball right before the end zone. I mean, that is Deshaun Jackson. He's going to take the top off the defense, make a great play with his speed, and half the time he might do something like that. But I don't think that really had too much of an effect on the game at that point. I think it was just an extra like kill that the Chiefs were able to get against the Raiders. You mentioned it. The Raiders not having any semblance of a running game is probably one of the major reasons why they lost this game, other than the fact that their defense allowed 500 yards. Usually, when you allow 500 yards, you're going to lose. It's very hard for you to win when you allow that many yards on offense. Well, for the opposing offense to have against your defense. But Kansas City getting almost double the amount of rushing yards that the Raiders did, that's a big deal because the running game for the Chiefs has essentially just not been there. Like they hadn't even tried to run the ball. They just have not done it. And for them to outrush the Raiders, who have Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake is also there as well. That pretty bad for the Raiders. The amount of first downs that the Chiefs got, almost double, 29 to 15 first downs for the Chiefs compared to the Raiders. The Raiders were 1 of 9 third down, whereas the Chiefs were 9 of 15. The Chiefs didn't allow a sack the entire game. So Mahomes was able to stay upright the entire time. Penalties for the Raiders twice as much yardage wise, and they had 9 penalties to Kansas City's 4. Now one more turnover, but the two turnovers that they did have, I mean, the Deshaun Jackson turnover was bad, and then Derek Carr pretty much just saying, "Hey, somebody's gonna catch it," and throwing it up. That really hurt him. So it's just a whole domination there. I mean, it's not just really one thing you can point to and say this is why they lost. Like they just got straight up dominated. It was close at one point, but the Chiefs were able to come out in that second half and pretty much dominate and build on that lead that they already had. And by the time it got to the fourth quarter, it just felt like the Chiefs were gonna win. It didn't matter what the heck the Raiders were gonna do. Now, do I feel like the Chiefs are, back? Have they righted the ship? Maybe they lead the division now. So that's crazy to think, considering they were just out of the playoffs not too long ago. But they lead the division now. Patrick Mahomes, definitely his best game in a while. He still had some throws. I mean, that touchdown to Williams was literally just a hey, I'm gonna throw it up, somebody's gonna catch it. I still need him to kind of not do that. Um, it didn't hurt him in this game, but eventually he's gonna have to learn to just say like, look, just take the easy pass, check down. I understand like that's not who he is, but you can't just throw it up every single time because eventually you're gonna start getting picked off a lot more. But I think this does help the Chiefs moving forward. You were disappointing for sure this season so far, and now you in the driver's seat in the division. You played each of these teams a few more times, so you just improve on what you've been doing. And I think if the Chiefs defense is able to play as well as it did in this past game, and the offense is at least close to what it was, and they keep the turnovers down, I think the Chiefs will be all right moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we talked about all season. The Chiefs needed to negate turnovers and bring their run game back, or at least have some resemblance of a run game. And they did that. They came out, they were pretty good on negating the turnovers. They had that fumble, but it obviously didn't hurt them very much in this game. And they had a good run game, like you mentioned. They outrushed the Raiders, and the Raiders have people like Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake who are usually going to get a decent amount of yards. So this was a bounce back game for the Chiefs for sure. They've been on a win streak, and they've been kind of silencing some of the disappointment that they've been facing. But I think this one is really the one that proves that they're on the right track for sure, because they're starting to negate some of these things. Now you do mention that the usual Patrick Mahomes style play of just tossing it up, hoping someone's down there. I agree. This one didn't hurt for this game, but he definitely has to cut that out. We saw this season already how much that hurts him, because defense is starting to get used to that. The Raiders defense forgot to come to the game against them, so that he might have benefited from that heavily. And I'm still going to be very skeptical of the Chiefs moving forward, especially just because I know that this is how they've been playing this season, or this is not how they've been playing the season as far as how this game goes. And there's a good chance that they can start fumbling again. But I am interested to see how they move forward. And as for the Raiders, I mean, I've been rocky on them all season. They had a great start. They've kind of started slipping a little bit, and they're bouncing around between. They look like a good team, and then they look like this. So this is an interesting team, interesting division, as the Chargers and Raiders have both kind of fallen apart, and now the Chiefs are kind of getting their act together. So I'm interested to see how this division ends up turning out at the end of the season.